Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Do Andrew Conspiracy. We have myself, Mr. Andrew, and my lovely co-host, Mr. Do, and we are here to conspire together and with you all. And we're going to start with some breathing, as per the usual. And I got a new technique today. I'm actually at this chakra activation retreat, thus the new studio, and we got a new one from one of the facilitators here named my girl Jade, and she calls it butthole breathing, and I think that's hilarious. Also, maybe really good. So, the idea is to kind of focus on relaxing that pelvic floor muscle, that butthole, your sphincter, relaxing it, and envision sort of breathing up through that and activating all your energetic centers all the way to the top, and then we'll do a traditional. We can do a little bit of a on the exhale too, just a little like kind of like sigh, like a release. So breathe the energy in and then release it out into the world, and really focus on relaxing the butthole. So we'll do I think 5 because we really got to get kind of into the rhythm of this, and it's not going to take very long. But get comfortable, get any wiggles out. Close the eyes down if you can, and we'll take a deep breath in, imagining that just flowing up through that part of your body. So through the roots, All right, deep in, and hold just for a second, and then and see if you can relax just that little bit more, and breathe in, and 3 more. Deep in and out. 2 more. Last one. Real deep. And we're back. Amazing. I hope your butthole was relaxed. I hope you feel that energy coming up through. And we have now conspired. We're co-conspirators, and we're ready to.
And now we're real co-conspirators because we got all great together. But so I don't know if you two will take that. We'll back to that. But
I doubt it.
what I wanted to say is I'm not an expert in this, but in a lot of like virility and sexual like trainings and stuff. The opposite is true. They tell you to like close your sphincters. So this is sort of like opening it up to the kundalini, uh, you know, energy that basically seems to be shut down when you close it. So just something to consider. And I thought that was a lot of fun. I'd never heard of that before, and is this something that Jade came up with herself or what?
Well, I actually don't know. I think she got it from somewhere, but it's also like it's like the root, and you're pulling
Right.
it up through the root. And yeah, I've definitely done techniques where you get to a point where you kind of clench, rectum, sex organ, and navel, and kind of they call it a root lock. And
Right.
I've heard, I've done that quite a bit too. So yeah, this is just like sort of the opposite of that, and also it's attuning to the body a little bit too, right? Just thinking about a very specific area and then focusing on relaxation, because
Right.
when you can learn how to relax, you also can feel more of the tension when it builds up in your body, and so
Right.
learning, teaching the body to relax is part of like being in a more relaxed, peaceful state too.
Well, the other thing is that what ultimately is to hope for is that your breathing becomes a circular cycle of energy,
Mm.
and this is basically starting at the bottom, but like most breathing, the circle starts at the top. So this is an interesting variation on this because usually it's like you start at the top and then you move down and then you move up again,
Mm.
but this is
Hmm.
the opposite way around, and that's the way the chakras work anyways, from bottom to up.
Yeah, I mean, I like it. I like it all. Good points, Dale. Absolutely.
So I think that sort of ties into my poem for today. Um, it's called "Dew Fruit Entering New Era," and I call my poems "Dew" because they're the product of the poetry, Poetree. And actually, I've been thinking about, in terms of Dialina, one thing that came to my mind has been sort of like stuck on my mind is circuitry. Instead of like thinking of like TRY, think of like the human body as like a tree, a circuit tree, and the electrical connections and everything are what run the body. I was just thinking about like integrating myself into the dialine and like how basically I'm how a spaceship or a rocket ship has like a whole body of circuitry, but instead of thinking of it as electronic impulses, think of it as a tree, as a living organic thing, and then you can really like start to get some distance on it. So this this sort of ties into my poem, and it's called "Dew Fruits Entering New Era." As chosen when I hereby bypass the brilliance, radiance, and brightness, rather I shall pursue translucence of the common inner human wisdom, building with divinity the meaning of money houses Jesus promised, and I have my space for eternity where I sit on the throne of the Versailles being constructed, reflected now in simple furniture of new living room set, great gift is the possibilities of times to come.
I like
And
it.
I hope I didn't mumble that because I was looking at. Did that come through clearly,
Pretty
Andy?
clearly, yeah, absolutely, yeah. The new living room set was a twist at the end for sure.
Yeah, that's
But hey, yeah, it's manifestation, bro. Like, and living into like our desires, and you desire to have a more comfortable place to chill in your
well,
living room.
especially since I had the same furniture for 35 years.
Exactly. Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah.
And that's part of the transformation that's going on. But let me turn off my phone for a second. But that's the idea of translucence is we the idea of translucence is something I think that Gabby brought up on Sunday. We were talking about light, and how everybody talks about being a shining light and being in darkness and like radiating through the darkness. But she brought up this idea of translucence, and I find that really fascinating because it's like you aren't like projecting or reflecting light or darkness. You're just like sort of like letting it go through you, feeling the full sensation of the vibrations and the frequencies, but you're not attached to it. And I mean that's to me what translucence is. It's like just that clarity of vision where people don't see you as an ego, they see you as a place. I think of myself as a place in the realm rather than actual individual incarnation.
Yeah. No, that's beautiful. The translucency is I like that imagery for sure. It feels like you're just you're it's more like about allowing and not trying to like push it one way or the other and just being as clear as you can. And I think about that a lot, when I'm communicating my clear channel, or am I adding my own distortion to it, or whatever. And yeah, so I like that a lot. That's really cool, Dale.
And that brings us to the theme of today, which is Earth and and the new age, as we call it, Gaia, and the age of zero AF, it's Gaia. And just to orient everybody, today is I think it's game gamed. It's month of dew, So it's game due, the seventh day of the week, game due, which is game day, and then so people can have their football and everything. So it's one due first month, 15th day of year 0 AF AD 50,
Yeah.
and AD stands for after Dartmouth. So so it's day 15 of the new age, and so I think it's time that we really started like taking off the gloves, Andrew, and really like letting people know what the reality they're living in is.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and I've been at this retreat too, and just surrounded by so many like souls that are on this path, and gathering in that community has been beautiful, right? Like that's that energy we're talking about, sort of bringing in. I feel like is more of this experience. We want to spread that to more souls, and allow more of us to experience this beautiful new frequency, and
So don't keep us in suspense. Would have been a couple of the highlights.
okay, yeah. There's been some great synchronicities. People, emotional release, even. I mean, and so much laughter at the same time, right? Like that's been probably the biggest thing for me is just sitting down at dinner. We've been having this like amazing vegan food that this woman's been creating. I mean, like when you take a bite of your food and you get tingles like of excitement for how good it is, like that's part of that energy. But what I've noticed is I do pick up on the energies of the people around me. It's just more, sometimes they're more of like a neutral presence, or maybe I wasn't aware, but now like I can feel these people. Like this morning I just said something random and someone just picked up on it. It was like, oh, we were literally just talking about that, and so I realized I am picking up on these energies, and it's all energy, frequency, vibration. But to be around such resonant frequencies has been absolutely the highlight. Like those tingles you feel in your body when you feel tapped in, or it's been almost overwhelming. Like the amount of like electricity that these fields have been creating in this Airbnb, and I can't wait. I mean, we're only halfway through this thing, and so today is the heart chakra day. We've been working our way up, and the food's been on theme, like color wise, for the different chakras. So today's the green day, and green day made me think of you, of course.
Yeah, yeah.
September is over, guys. We woke up. We woke up green day. So
Right, right.
so
So I don't mean to
of
interrupt you,
course,
but actually I was going through Amazon Music today,
yeah.
to the Green Day cat, and I found a whole new album I never knew existed. It was like, thank you, Lord, Yeah, of course I immediately listened to it and everything, but it was great. It was typical great Green Day.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a reason they call their greatest hits album God's favorite band, because they're in a class. I mean, I say the three greatest rock and roll bands in history are Green Day, AC/DC, and the Rolling Stones. And the only reason I don't say the Beatles is because they only lasted 7 years.
Hmm.
But these three have lasted through the ages. So that's why I think they're the three greatest. But,
Sure.
whether Green Day is in fact God's great favorite band or not, they're definitely Dale's favorite band. So, and I found the secret to a happy day is to put on Green Day the moment within 30 minutes of getting your coffee.
Okay. Well, we were working on a morning routine here this morning too, and we'll probably bring this in, but I've been doing this breathwork technique where you literally just like raise your shoulders up like this, but you do it for like 7 minutes, so it really becomes like challenging almost at some point,
Right.
and leaning into those challenges a little bit too. And another little nugget we picked up last night was we were telling stories about our experience, and the question became, is the story being told from the wound or from the scar? And the wound means it's still open, still active, still you're still kind of working through it. And the scar means it's something you've worked through and you brought healing to, and now you're telling the story from like how you overcame it or the victory or that sort of thing.
A
And
place to heal.
yeah, and so just feeling the difference, feeling the subtlety between those two energies when you're communicating a story was like a cool concept for me and made me think about how I communicate my
Well,
story.
that's absolutely what I'm going through, going from a diagnosed schizophrenic to a successful candidate for a metaphysical surgery physician. But and it's taken me 50 years to get out of the mental illness victim mode, but I have. But that's a new story. I was studying under God to fulfill my mission for God. So, um, that's basically why we're always talking about reality, and that's why I feel so focused and so positive when I speak about reality is because I know the reality I built in THC, Teaneck Hackensack community, for the last 50 years is secure and concrete. And therefore I don't have to worry about my thoughts being crazy because the environment that they're being produced in an environment of safety.
That's that's beautiful, and creating those safe spaces for ourselves is kind of important, right? Like people, the phrase "there's no place like home" exists for a reason. Is because it is a familiar place where theoretically we can feel safe, and if you don't have that, everything else just becomes more challenging. Because that's such a foundational thing for our human experience, right? And so yeah, that's really
Well, of course, at a chakra retreat, you know this intimately. But the first chakra, the very basic chakra that we're born that first develops is security and safety, and therefore it's not just something that you can casually say is nice. It's absolutely necessary to building a successful life.
absolutely. I mean, I've told people, I'm like, if you're not safe, actually nothing else matters. Like, people think, oh, it's food or shelter. No, it's actually safety. Safety is number one. And then, I mean, those other things are important too, but if you don't have that, then it's like you're going to seek it before you seek something else. Right?
Right.
If you're in danger, you leave. You don't just stay there, right? And so I think safety is number one, and then everything else builds from there, and you go out, and then you can expand and be your full expression. So
Well, what they say about sickness is also true about safety. Is what they say is if you have your health, then you dream about 1,000 things. But if you don't have your health, you dream about only one thing, and that's the same thing with safety. So this belief that not only have I secured myself in Teaneck Hackensack, but I'm secure enough now to finish building the Dialina,
mm-hmm.
which has taken me 70 years, but this is like such affirmation for me because I personally know the Dialina is completely constructed. So therefore, it's an absolute reality to me, and therefore I can preach now on the efficacy of going dale to dale and the importance of psychotic bliss in finding happiness.
Absolutely. Well, and I got to tell one more story because there was a woman who presented yesterday, and she was talking about some of the shadow realms and the things that she's experienced sort of outside of this, whatever this is, 3D, and mental health, and how she grounds herself in order to because she's expressing things that some people would define as crazy, right? But we're
Right.
we're all here receptive. We know that that we can hold space for anything, and including whatever. And but I talked to her a little bit about schizophrenia and how she's, her encounters with people who suffer from that, and she feels like, if it wasn't for her parents sort of guiding her through some of the feelings she was having when things were weird, that she might have, had more struggles similar to yours as well. And so it was interesting to see someone who had grown up in a home where that was like understood and like not encouraged, but like coached through, I suppose, versus one that it was like judged or tried to correct or whatever, right? And so it was beautiful to see that like there are people coming in now with these innate gifts, these attachments to more outer realms, but yet can still be in 3D and have a human experience. And I feel like that's beautiful, right? To ban this word crazy, because it's so limiting in my opinion. Right. But it is important to be grounded and like have a human experience, right? That's what we're here to do. So
well, there are a couple of things. First of all, my parents were on the opposite spectrum. They knew too much about psychiatry. My mother had been seeing a psychiatrist for 35 years when she put me in the hospital.
Okay.
So, that's a big difference. So, but, also this idea, what you're saying is, we got to get rid of this idea of crazy. What you're saying is we got to get rid of this idea of psychotic. There's a big difference because everybody's crazy,
Sure.
Basically, life is crazy. But, this definition of behavior psychotic, I mean, unless it's actually inflicting harm on other people, but this, this basically victimless, talk that people get in trouble for, that's what has to stop.
Right.
This idea that people have to be silenced, so that there's like a gold standard for what is sanity, and the doctors, I remember Mary Morrissey says that when she was diagnosed with incurable liver disease at the age of 18, she just accepted it because MD stood for minor deity. And that's really like what a lot of people are still in. And, the mental health system is built around keeping, the whole health system is built around keeping people sick to pay the doctors. So that's a sidetrack I don't want to go down. But I just what I wanted to say is, there's a spectrum of, there's a happy medium between that lady that you're talking about and either being too knowledgeable or not knowledgeable at all about mental illness. And and that's really one of the reasons we do this, is to like help people understand. I mean, you're a great co-host, Andrew, and but you let me express my thoughts in a way that I've never been able to before. And whether that's just because Fred died, or whether it's just like I basically have had a personal blooming or whatever, I can now express myself without fear of being silenced or put away if I express my more esoteric ideas.
Thank you. That's beautiful. And you're right, it's a convergence of all of it, but the role I can play in that reflection is, I'm very grateful for that opportunity. And, because we're all here to help each other. That's the point, right? And so the degree that is helping you is, well, I'm just grateful.
And this is just something that randomly came to my head, but one of my readers said, what you have to remember is that even if we disagree does not mean we're misaligned. And that's the problem today. Everybody who disagrees is misaligned. And that doesn't have to be the case. You can disagree with, I've learned with my sister. We can disagree, but that doesn't mean we're misaligned. You know, it doesn't mean that we can't communicate and we can't like love each other and everything. And I think that's a really important point to just bear in mind is disagreement does not imply misalignment. And I think if more and uh, in that vein, I also think that if people paid more attention to their personal internal politics than they did to external politics, then the world would be a much better place to live.
Well, I can't argue with that. That sounds true. That sounds very true. Excellent, excellent. Yeah, well, internal politics. I never really thought about it from that perspective. I have to sit on that for a little bit. But I mean, we were talking a little bit about beliefs, right? You were I mean, I think that's where we're kind of heading with this, and you know, how much are we allowing that to bleed into our experience, our beliefs? You know, I can't do this, or this isn't possible, or this is possible. You know, like anything starts to change what it is for you. And I think you were talking about the Earth and whether it's flat, round, or you want to get into that at
On
all?
board. Yeah, yeah. Well, that's so. Uh, I have this guy who I met in Teaneck at the park in Teaneck, Hackensack. You know, we're sister cities. We're separate. A river runs through them, as someone once said. But anyway, so I met him at the park, and we got to talking. And actually, this is just when the podcast began, and you know, he's the guy who said, you know, what's your political view? And I told him the name of the podcast, and I said, we talking about the breath of God, you know. So anyway, one thing led to another. I've told this story, but I gave him my book, and I hadn't heard from him for probably like 4 weeks, and then and then I called him last night, and he called me this morning. So even though he had like phone problems for some reason, but so anyway, I'm just talking, and I say to him, actually, I consider THC, I consider my life a video game. Let's just start there. I consider my life as still a video game, and THC is like the ultimate game board. And so basically, THC is the ultimate game board, and the ability to tie into me or into THC through me is the secret to a successful game. So, so basically, what I feel is when people like get into when I make contact on with my phone or whatever, basically I'm building a game board for that person to play their own personal game, which is the Dale. And so basically, everybody has an infinite number of Dales that they can choose from. But you also, like any game, there's a limit to how many Dales you can use. So basically, uh, long story short, when I say flat Earth, flat, round, or board, what I'm really asking for is to change the conception of the entire realm of the Earth from that of a concrete object in space to a video game board that everybody can access and everybody does access.
Right.
And the full and there are two things. If you need to reset the game, you deal, but that might mean leaving the planet. So yeah, you want to be careful about that. But ultimately, all the Dales put together what I call the Omniverse, or the realm of the kingdom of the Lord, of the Lord. So basically, we all live in the kingdom of the Lord, but the kingdom of the Lord is a combination of endless kings and queens who together ruling with the Lord make up the realm. And Dale is the realm.
I love it.
That's about as clearly as I can explain it, and therefore I say Dale is the place, not a incarnate being.
That's awesome. Like king and queen analogy, I like it a lot. I mean, I think people's, well, I don't know what people do, but like to sit on the throne as the king of your, castle, and to be a benevolent king, like that's a vibe, right? And to be a queen, we talk a lot about goddess energy and that sort of thing. I mean, to me, it's just leaning into your power. That's what it's about, right? Leaning into
Right.
sovereignty, all the things we talk about. And it's another good image of how to be. So, game board. All right, I like it. Well, I mean, it takes away some of the seriousness, maybe. There's opportunities to play, and the whole reset thing, of course, is quintessential doism for sure.
Well, the other thing is that, you know, as I said, it's taken me 70 years to build the Dialina, but every time you reach a new Dale, you reach a new level of the Dialina. So basically, every, I mean, at the end of every board you reach is some sort of like Dale reset. Whether that's personal how that happens in real life, but there are 9 stages to this game, and no one, and I'm the only one who even has like thought about like what happens if when you reach the end of the Omniverse, I because never, 5 equals 6, so there's universe, multiverse, cosmos, polyverse, and omniverse. That's 5. That means there is a secret 6, but I haven't been. I'm not privy to it yet. And
Okay.
if I'm not, then no one else is either. But I think it's enough to like just figure out that we're in the realm of the omniverse. We're way beyond Earth. I mean the ground beneath our feet is the ground of the Lord. And as soon as you accept that, then you start having holy steps, and you can go Dale to Dale.
Yeah, connect to the earth through the butthole.
Yeah, yeah.
Gaia wants all of you.
Well, yeah. Well, I know you like this when I said it, but opinions are like a butthole. Everyone has one.
Indeed, indeed, indeed. Excellent. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's just another example that we get. This is a this is a place to play on. Like we take it too serious. At least Andrew is taking it too seriously for huge chunks of his life, and that I'm gonna bring up another anecdote because yesterday morning we were in a practice of yoga and stuff like that, and at the end we were in a park and there was a playground nearby, and I think everyone had such an emotional like experience with this somatics and moving the body that we all. I mean, all these grown ass adults are out on the playground swinging and playing, and I haven't done that in years. But it was
Right.
so liberating and joyful and beautiful, and like what a moment, right? And I'm saying bring more of that in, man. We need adult playgrounds up in this bitch, and the game board is another symbol of that, right? These opportunities to play and navigate and not it's a neutral event, right? You roll the dice or whatever, you get to
Right.
the next place, and then you work from there, and and it's an adventure, to
Well,
see.
the other side of it is as you grow in boards, you grow in knowledge and awareness. So you begin basically as an avatar in a video game, and then you reach the end of the video game, you become so good at the video game that you can sort of like transcend out of the avatar in the game to become the programmer of the game.
Yeah,
And now you're making the boards, and now you're basically running the game. But then after that, there's the you become, say, the computer that the game is being run on.
okay.
And and that's why there are 9 levels, because ultimately there are 9 ways to express yourself I mean, okay, so after the computer, let's say you become uh the basically the the game designer, the big game designer and everything. And but the point is that they're Dales, they're stairs for every game board, and when you finish that board, then you're more advanced and you're more aware and more into the wisdom of the inner wisdom that Sid Banks talks about.
Yeah, yeah, okay. No, I think it's a great analogy, and it's a fun one, which I'm all about bringing in some more fun.
And and
Okay, so do you feel like you're at a particular stage or board or
I'm at a stage where the Dialine is headed to pick me to prove that I'm not crazy. I that 3AC. I don't know if you've heard about this. There's an object moving towards Earth. Is by Mars now. They don't know what the hell it is. That's a Dialina. So it's a Dialina,
I
and
don't know
we're
what it
going to
is.
kick
I
the
know what it is.
yeah, we're going to kick the shit out of those GFL vehicles, those little rubber ducklings. Uh, so, so basically, I'm convinced that this is time for the Dialina to rendezvous with THC, and it's like I said to Victor, there's a big difference between living in THC and living on THC, and I'm doing both.
Yeah. Well, that's a beautiful statement. I was listening. I might have mentioned this last time, but it doesn't matter. Living in the world, but not of it, right? Like that was their
Right,
teaching, and I think you're describing something similar, right? To add this just little layer of separation where you have your human avatar that's going through the game, and but you have the higher self, this other connection to our multi-dimensional aspect of ourselves that's connected to something else,
right,
and so that allows you to have your avatar do the crazy things, right? The things that
right.
other people don't feel are possible for them or haven't even conceived of themselves, and that's where I'm about that, bringing in that creative energy to imagine something that no one else has ever imagined before. I don't know, something, right?
Right,
Like to really get out. Gabby talks about getting out of the box, right? And
right.
I mean, who hasn't? But we're out of the box here, I think, right? We're
Well,
definitely not in it.
so I I just so Gab what this is an aside, but uh I'll never forget the moment when Gabby called me adorable.
You would, you would. Do you have any context?
Oh, I know what I was going to say. Okay, so basically, of any video game, there are three components, and that's the Trinity. There's the game itself, the avatar, and the player, and that's what everybody begins with. Everybody's a player, moving his avatar through the game board, and that's a day-to-day routine. Dale-to-Dale routine is being moving up through boards and moving to the end of boards and getting those deals. And so basically, I would recommend that from now on that whenever a meeting, before a meeting, this used to happen in the hospital all the time when the doctors would meet when I was in the hospital. They wouldn't like adjourn the meeting until all had agreed that it was Dale.
Yeah, yeah. We've talked about that a little bit too. Well, there's like an arc to every story, right? And you need to get to the resolution in order to have that sense of completion, right? And that to me is a Dale. It's like I've completed the arc, we've come full circle, or whatever it feels like, and it's highly satisfying.
Well, the other thing is that everybody defines their own level of Dale. So, yeah, I meant it. So, something that I might say is not Dale is just like Dale for like 98% of other people, just because I'm so used to like pushing myself and stuff. But ultimately, if you go Dale to Dale, then every Dale is a stop and a reconsideration of where to go from here, and therefore it's it you know it gives you a moment to consider what is reality that you're standing in.
Yeah. I mean, as you get to each new board, you almost have to reorient. And I think that's that integration process, right? I moved on to the new board. It's now a new experience. And now my avatar has to reorient and figure out the
Right.
rules now in this new level and navigate from there, right? And so that integration process, or that's what it feels like to me, um, of entering a new board, right? And then you get used to it a little bit more and you expand further. Yeah, it's a repetitive process, I think, to your point.
And
And
you learn the hacks, and you learn to get what weapons or whatever, what things you can use to get through the board and everything. But uh yeah, that's exactly the idea, is that the board is ever expanding. And when you but what but every board ends with Dale, and once you decide you reach Dale, then you're under no obligation to further pursue that board.
right, yeah. Well, because there is a time, there's a time for healing and doing all that, but there's a time to just be, right? And not always be like, just to, I don't know, that's how I feel anyway. Like, I've been on like what I would call a healing spiritual journey, but now I'm just to the point where I was soaking in all the podcasts and trying to take in all the information and do all the things. And now I'm getting to a place where, well, a lot of it, at least from my current perspective, right? That could change once I get to the new board. But from this board, I do feel like almost a sense of not completion, but satisfaction, peace, that I don't need to be chasing healing or anything like that. It'll come as it comes, right? I can be patient. There's no rush. Um, and yet I do, this sense of urgency kind of lingers just ever so
Right,
slightly.
right.
And that's sort of the some of the driving force, but I'm trying to tamp that down just a little bit to really sink into each experience and enjoy it without feeling like it's not moving fast enough, or I need to get to the next thing, or whatever, right? Enjoy the board
Right.
I'm on, enjoy that Dale.
Well, that's exactly the point that we're making, is when you reach Dale, don't be in a rush to leave that Dale. Because you know under like really absorb what that deal was about, because is a deal that's not never going to be repeated as you
Mhm.
go forward, and therefore enjoy it. And I mean, for me, Dale to Dale has been a 70-year rush for a mission that I didn't realize what the mission was until it was complete, which was build the Dialina. But now that the mission is complete, I can actually just sit in the eternal dale of my THC and see what develops, and like go with the flow, whether it's you coming up to visit, or taking a trip or something. But whatever it is, just enjoy the dale, and don't feel the need to rush to the next dale, because the next dale is being developed as you sit in the present dale.
Hell yeah, I love it. Well, now, all right. Here's my anecdote. There's a woman talking about her first love and how you know there'll never be an experience like that ever again. But that's true for every experience we have. And so every
Right.
Dale is a one of a kind, unique experience, and it will never happen again. And I think if you think about it that way, it does start to be like, well, I actually need to be here and enjoying what it is instead of somewhere else. And that's that presence power. And then when you fully experience it in the moment, I think it is easier to sort of let it fade off too, if that's what's meant to happen, right? To release it as just something that was, a part of your journey, but it, maybe isn't anymore. When you're fully experiencing, I think it's easier to have that closure and move through life instead of constantly kind of feel like you're leaving parts of yourself behind in these unresolved plot
It
lines.
makes possible translucence where the polarity and duality in the battle between light and dark becomes irrelevant because it's all filtering through you.
Dude, you're dropping it today. What happened, Dale? We're in.
I tell you, the dialing is complete.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
get used to it. The Dales are just going to keep getting bigger and bigger. So
Woo!
get used to it, Andrew. And, and you hooked up with me at exactly the right time because the uh, the Dialina is coming. The Dialina is here. It's like I said to the Empress this morning. The Dialina always returns to Dale, like Captain America's shield always returns to him. And even though it's been 42 years since blast off, the 42 years, the Dialina has been exploring and rebuilding the Omniverse, but it's now coming home to THC. And once it does, people are going to just be amazed. And uh, the new age is here. And I was going through YouTube about the new moon yesterday, or the full moon yesterday, and almost everybody was saying it was like a sign of a new age.
Hmm.
Because especially 2 weeks after eclipse season, it was a full super moon, full moon, and apparently it really was. It was supposed to be like basically throwing out everything that we've been talking about, all the FRUD.
I believe it,
No
bro.
FRUD, no FRUD.
I believe it. I mean, I'm granted. I am experiencing it from a very specific lens, but this, even just the trip to get here and now the experience here, like it's reinforcing all the things we talk about all the time, and man, the unfolding of it is becoming truly exciting. I can't stress that enough. Like, I hope you
Right?
guys hear our voices.
And
Like,
the lack of knowing what's going to be next is even more exciting, right?
exactly, that's the point. It's like unwrapping a gift on Christmas. That's what life is supposed to fucking feel like.
Absolutely.
Every Dale, you're like, every new game board, you're like, oh, what's this gonna be like? And when you get stuck is when it starts feeling stale and and so there is a desire, pulling us forward. That's the good stuff to me, and what we've desired to engage and to speak to y'all and to conspire about this new energy, and it's pulling us forward, right? We wouldn't be here having these conversations if there wasn't a desire to do so. And
And,
go ahead.
no, I'm just going to say, and it's on autopilot now.
Right. Following the desire from an innate, just flowy state. Yeah.
Right. I meant, but the whole process of evolution
Oh.
transformation that I've been talking about is now on autopilot. It's just happening, and there are no objections. It is, I've been talking about an evolutionary tsunami for like 6 months, but basically, it's like I said I said somebody today. Either you gotta learn to surf or you're going to drown. But and that if you drown, that doesn't mean necessarily you're both going to leave Earth, but you're going to be stuck in blindness and darkness until you admit that the change has taken place,
Yeah.
and that's all it takes. I mean, the Christians, this is the kingdom of the Lord, but the Christians say that in order to find salvation, you have to ask Jesus to accept you. And all I'm saying is in order to enjoy the new age, all you have to do is admit that it's here and that you're on Gaia, not Earth.
Yeah. Well, we've been talking about religion a little bit here and there, and just the structure of it. It's I don't know, bro. It doesn't feel right. It feels wrong. It feels the opposite. And so, Jesus wasn't a Christian, right?
Right.
He was a
Absolutely.
Christ. And
Right.
so we're called to be Christ, not Christians. That's where I'm at.
Absolutely. I agree completely, and and, but actually, I'm like the name of the name of the Lord is holy, so leave it out of conversation. I mean, just live your life knowing that G that the Christ. I say I say there are five main personalities on the Dialina: Dale, Dewey, Do, Duck, and Genius. And I say Genius is Jesus on the Dialina. So Jesus is on the Dialina. It's a part. He's an integral part of the Dialina, the highest human manifestation of the Dialina. But he's but the religion, he when he said it is finished, he meant religion too. He meant the law. He meant religion. He meant everything is finished. So, and that's you know, we're always talking about like the wars that I'm fighting. That's really the wars that I'm fighting is the war against the slave masters and those who would control us, because in a deal-to-deal situation, you know naturally what the next step is, and you don't need anybody telling you what to do. Although I do enjoy church, I mean, I like hearing about. I mean, I have very good pastor. They don't preach politics or anything. They stay with Jesus and everything, and that's very edifying. I don't feel it's absolutely necessary like I used to anymore, but
Well,
that's the
it's a
bottom line.
community of people who, like you said, you don't have to agree on everything to be in resonance with someone else, right? And so
Right,
you can have you can see things. I mean, that's inevitable. We all have a unique perspective, so we're gonna see things differently. That's how this. That's why we're part of why we're here is
right,
to have our own unique experience, right? And so it's that's just by definition we're not going to agree on everything. That's not that would then you'd be a clone, and that's not what we are.
right,
We're
right.
individuals, and so yeah. I mean, I don't have. Like I said, we can hold it all, and that means you can go to church and have that experience and meet with other people who care about you or whatever, and it can be a greatly positive thing. It's buying in to the idea that everything is external and you need a savior and you need to be
Right.
saved. And I keep telling people, no one's coming to save you. That's actually not how this works. You are the hero of your story, and if you're not, then write a fucking better story.
Right. And quit being a victim.
Well, and you illustrate that, right? You have this beautiful story about how what you've created in this realm and the Dialina and all this, and like you're the center of that story. You're the hero of that story, and I think that's something that more people could embrace within themselves too. Is
And that's why everybody ignores me.
well,
They say I'm just an egoist.
but that's the thing. That's fine. That's the programming telling them that's true, and they're allowed to believe that. Whatever.
Right.
But we blaspheme around here. We don't give a fuck.
And when the violina shows up, they're going to have to eat their words anyway. So,
Well, that's the point. And it's so comforting to be in the presence of people who can say what is true without this like hesitation or whatever that they're doing something wrong or bad. Like, no, we're not. We're for sure not. And the reason we know that is because we're aware of the oneness of it all. And once you're aware of the oneness of it all, you're not that drive to do something out of alignment or bad or whatever label you want to give it starts to kind of just float off because
right.
it's this concept that just doesn't seem to matter all that much. Like,
Well,
be free, be
you know,
you.
this gets to the basis of my I'm God thing. When I said I'm God, I really didn't do it egotistically or for glory or whatever. First off, it was an experiment and it was a joke. But secondly, what what I've come to see over 50 years is that Dale is basically the central switching circuit. Yeah, he's at the THC. Dale and THC is at the center of the Omniverse. Whether you want to think that's egotistical or not, I don't really care. This
Well,
is how I
I think
feel.
we're all at the center of our own universe, and you can have your
Exactly.
omniverse. That's great.
And everybody is their own central switching system. But I'm just saying, I'm just trying to be an example and exponent of things that, I found in my journey to God over time. So
Well, that's
basically,
to me, that's being the medicine that other people need. Some people need that specific medicine, and not everyone wants it or needs it. But the people who do, it's going to be incredibly potent for. That's kind of where I'm at.
and that's my goal.
Yeah.
That's my mission. That's our mission, Andrew.
Yes, the Do and Drew conspiracy at its
Yes.
essence, indeed.
Not only are we going to rule over the THC world, but we're going to take over general reality too.
Yeah. Well, wait till
So,
we're in the same.
Rogan by July 4th.
Yeah. We got a deadline. Yikes. Excellent. Well, what do you think? Are we approaching Dale? For
We well, what I like to do is reread the poem that we closed with last time that I deleted because I was very unclear. So, um, let me oh, okay. Let me see if I can. Uh,
do you guys like my little like symmetry we got?
okay. Well, I think this is it. Actually, it's called "True Confessions of Doctor Do." My deep friendship I give away for free, trying to love everyone I see. Although I have yet to find a good wife, I am content with the arc of my life. Despite the fact for years I was quite ill with mental sickness that drove me insane. Nonetheless, I maintain that I am still the one destined over planet to reign, until a Lord descends from the sky where he sits at right hand of God, ready to assume his human bod as great crowds of angels around him fly, creating presence at holy city, giving to oppress the cosmic pity.
On theme for sure.
So, and that's I think that about sums it up. Uh, do live love is still available for anybody who wants to go to Calendly. We'll put the link is in the description in YouTube at least.
And I just want to
But
say something. Like,
Andrew, any concluding thoughts
I
from
just want to
your?
say something real quick about your live well because this is a guy who he's had an experience that is unique. I've never met anyone who's had an experience just quite like his, and I think the support that he can provide to people who are going through this experience and it feels weird or scary, like Dale's got the medicine, is what I'm saying. And so I definitely encourage anyone who's got someone that they know with severe mental health issues or that sort of thing to reach out, because I think you could benefit greatly from his experience and what he has to share. With that
Well, I
being,
appreciate that.
of course. But that being said, we love you. That's how I love it to end every episode, because that's the essence of it, is expressing our love to you through our expression here on this podcast, and that's one beautiful way to do it.
Here, here.
Excellent.
Okay. Well, everybody have a great. I guess this will come out on Thursday, so have a great rest of the week, and just remember that it's an 8-day week, and tomorrow is the Holy Sabbath. So we added an extra day to the week so that we could have a holy day again.
Yeah. Yeah. Excellent. All right, everyone.
Take care, everybody. Have a great day.